Okay. I'm going to go ahead and call the January 26th regular meeting of the Mason County Board of Commissioners to order. And former Commissioner Bloomfield, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I'd be honored to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We have roll call, please.
Commissioner District 1, Randy Netherland.
I'm here.
Commissioner District 2, Tim Sheldon.
I'm on the call.
Commissioner District 3, Terry Jeffries.
Here. Thank you. Next is our correspondence and organizational business. Could you please report the correspondence we received?
The Housing Finance Commission sent notice for a public hearing, and Bill Sharp applied for the Lewis Mason Thurston Area Agency on Aging Council.
Thank you. And we have a news release by our Public Works Director.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you. This is regarding a community meeting, Pickering Road speed limit. Mason County will hold a community meeting to discuss possible speed limit changes on Pickering Road. A recent petition from local residents to increase the speed limit promoted Public Works to complete an engineering and traffic investigation. Based on the study results, a speed limit increase to 45 miles per hour can be justified between SR3 and approximately East Pine Tree Cove Road. However, Mason County is seeking community input to make sure all factors have been considered. At the meeting, Public Works will present the results, speed limit options, and ask for community input on the subject. The Board of County Commissioners will consider this input before deciding whether to move forward with a public hearing to change the speed limit. The community meeting is scheduled for Thursday, February 11th at Central Mason Fire and EMS Station 5-7 located at 1741 East Pickering Road, Shelton, Washington. The meeting will begin at 6 p.m. and will adjourn no later than 7:30 p.m. If you have any questions about the meeting, please contact Mason County Public Works at 427-9670, from Belfair at 275-4467, and from Elma at 482-5269, extension 450. Thank you.
Any questions for Brian? Thank you very much. Is there any other correspondence or organizational business to come before the body?
No, there isn't.
Thank you. That takes us to item number 5. This is the open forum for citizen input and opportunity to address the commission and the public about any items not on the agenda. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the commission at this time? Mr. Davis.
Thank you and good evening, Commissioners. Tom Davis, 170 West Bushy Road, and I'm here essentially to receive my comeuppance. Yesterday at the briefing, I sounded off here and didn't filter some of my words, and I think that not only apology is in order, but also an explanation. The explanation is that I work with mostly vets, as you know, and there's not a week that goes by that I don't have at least 2 guys standing in front of me with a story at the end of which I tell them to pull their head out of their behind and start thinking differently. The conversation is fairly rough around the edges, and I get kind of used to that, almost like kind of being back in the service, and I surround myself with these guys, and it's day in and day out. So sometimes I forget where I am, and sometimes that just kind of kicks in. But in a briefing, it is entirely inappropriate, and I apologize for that. And I want to make sure that you know how much I appreciate the access that I have had in this both in the community and right here. You commissioners have given me, as far as I'm concerned, unprecedented access, and I couldn't do what I do without your cooperation. I'm very much aware of that and very appreciative of it, and so I don't want you to take yesterday as any indication that I'm oblivious to that fact. Having said that, and I hope that's sufficient. I'd love to promise you it will never happen again, but we both know better. That's just the way the ship rolls. Just know that my heart's in the right place, and I know yours is too, and we'll get over this. And that's probably all I can say at this time. I do want to make one observation here regarding the funds, because I think it needs a little history. This is regarding the 1/10 to 1% funds. There was back in November of 2011 when we actually approved this through Resolution 7511. There was a lot of conversation on how these monies would be spent, and it was an appropriate conversation. And Commissioner Sheldon had voiced that he wanted to make sure those monies were spent for services provided to the people that were supposed to receive those services and not eaten up in administrative costs and so on. And it is one of those times where I was in full agreement and still am. And Commissioner Sheldon felt so strongly about it that he asked Vicki Kirkpatrick, Director of Public Health, to write a separate resolution in addition to the RCW statute, and that was 6612. And it was specifically to make sure that those monies didn't wander off, that they were used effectively and appropriately. And when we look at these funds, I think it's important that we remember what the origination was, why the RCW was written, what the purpose of these funds are, and that we don't go too far from that statute and that intention. I need to back up just a little bit back to 2011 in November, when that original Resolution 7511 was adopted by this board. It went by passed by 2 votes. And I remember that former Commissioner Steve Bloomfield was the deciding vote on this particular issue. And if I recall right, later on, maybe a year or so later, you recall that it was the proudest and most significant moment of your being a commissioner. And I feel the same way. I think that's appropriate. I would also say that there would be no 1/10 of 1% sales tax for these particular mental health, substance abuse issues if it weren't for the veterans. The veterans came and they had an influence and an impact on this decision. So we're talking about funds that wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for a certain effort of a certain population. And I'd like to see that was still recognized and that those funds were aimed at that population appropriately and proportionately. And I think to date they have been, and I would like to see that continue. And when you consider the contracts, that you just keep that in mind. That's about all I got to say on it. Thank you very much, both of you.
Tom, I want to thank you so much for your energy and the hours and hours you're doing on behalf of the veterans and your work on the 1/10 1% advisory group, and just thank you for that, and thank you for doing this tonight. I appreciate that.
Thank you both.
Chair, if I can mention, make a comment.
Please.
Tom, I want to thank you as well for your passion and your dedication to this issue. You're really working hard, and I just want to let you and the public know I fully intend to vote for the reauthorization before I leave the commission in the end of 2016. Every new program, when they start, there's fits and starts. It's never easy, but when you have the certainty of that funding coming up again, I think that gives you some relief, and you can concentrate on getting the job done and not worry about getting the votes to continue this program.
Hoorah, Commissioner, hoorah.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that'd like to make a comment? Thank you.
Steve Bloomfield, 391 Southeast Dahman Road, Shelton. I had to think where I lived. I haven't been there lately. I'm here tonight. Well, I too want to thank Tom. He's done a great job with this. I'm a man of dedication beyond anybody's expectations. Thanks, Tom, I really appreciate it, and I agree with what you said wholeheartedly, and thank you for doing what you do. And all the veterans, thank you. It's universal. So, I came here on a different matter, and I just don't want the commission forgetting about the Historical Society, Mason County Historical Society, and our need for a new museum. And we've been looking, and we took a tour of the Roundhouse recently, and looked at that, and it's really interesting. It needs to be preserved. It needs to be maintained. It's not going to be cheap to do that, and the access is pretty limited to it. Got some real problems there, but it'd be good if the county stayed behind that process a little bit and watched it through. I don't know if the Historical Society can afford that kind of a commitment, but we certainly will support it any way we can. But we still would like to have a gateway entrance museum, a kiosk maybe where we could have the chamber involved. We can have outdoor displays. I know we've spoke to you several times now about this, and I think Annette actually asked for 10 acres, which is, I guess if you're going to negotiate something, you start big. So we would be very willing to negotiate that acreage down. We understand the value of the property. We also understand what the intent of the property was to start with, and actually we do have a 3-acre parcel that can be the Historical Society's directly across 101 from there. So we could tie these together, and with 3 acres or so, maybe we could make something really, or 5 acres, we could really make something that would be a gateway for the people going up and down 101, and a real change, a bright spot for people coming to here to learn information about our community and our heritage. So, thank you, Commissioners, I appreciate it.
Did you just say you have property crossing that?
The Mankeys, do you have that, Ray? In the parcel map, when Mankeys traded with the county for that, they maintained, there's a map showing the parcels. Anyway, the parcel's kind of rectangular, it actually crosses the highway. And on the east side of the highway.
If you turn yours over, I think it's on there.
No, that's a different map. Anyway, the parcel crosses the highway. There's actually 3 acres, or approximately 3 acres, opposite Public Works. It's been logged recently there. You might remember seeing it. It's kind of a very narrow piece. But could work in conjunction with this very easy. Or maybe we could even figure a way to get a swap of land there so that we could use that as, leverage and work together for an end here.
Is Mankey offering to give that to you?
Mankey offered to give it to us, but Mankey wants it to be used as a museum or a return to the family. But doesn't mean they wouldn't offer a swap on that too, if like acreage was in the area. So it's just something we want to think about, keep fresh in our minds, and approach it any way we can to make this happen, because we kind of have to have a home before we could actually leverage, here's what I'm talking about. This is the part, this is 101.
Yeah.
This is the piece on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we can meet on this, maybe next week, it'd be nice to have that discussion a little more.
This is the part of the Public Works parcel here, and this is the part opposite 101.
And the Mankey company kept ownership of?
Yep, kept ownership of that.
Okay.
They would be willing to donate it to the Historical Society, but we do have that information here too, but we'd be glad to talk with you. We just want to keep everything fresh and trying to move forward with what we're doing, and we'll work with you, and for the benefit of the community and all parties in the community. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the commission at this time? Thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 6, the adoption of the agenda.
Madam Chair, I move for the adoption of the agenda as listed.
Madam Chair, I'll second the motion to adopt our agenda tonight.
Move the second to adopt the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carried. Approval of the minutes.
Madam Chair, I move that the Board of County Commissioners approve the January 19, 2016 regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Move the second to approve the January 19th regular and briefing meeting minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carried. Item number 8, the action agenda. There are 3 items on our action agenda. Commissioner Sheldon, I will allow you not to have to read through since you're on the phone. I will read items 8.1 through 8.2, taking the number ones, and give you, Commissioner Netherland, 8.3.
Okay.
We will read through these items, and if you have any questions on any of the items, please raise your hand and you'll be acknowledged. And you also have the opportunity to ask that any of these items be pulled for a separate vote and separate testimony. The intention is that we will vote on these in one action. So I will read through, and then after that, we'll ask if you have any questions or would like them pulled for a separate vote. Item 8.1, approval of Veterans Assistance Fund applications for necessity items, $450, utilities, $2,084.98, and housing, $800, for a total of $3,334.98, as recommended by the Veterans Service Office. 8.2, approval of warrants, claims clearing fund warrants numbers 8035190 through 8035348, total amount of $80,048.87. Claims clearing fund warrants numbers 8035684 through 8035839, total amount $485,593.49. Total to be approved today is $565,642.36. The year-to-date total for claims clearing fund is, and this includes the 13th month, meaning these are invoices that were paid in January that we costs incurred in the previous fiscal year. Year-to-date total $38,113,967.63. Direct deposit year-to-date total $14,351,340.59. And then salary clearing year-to-date total $15,871,491.77.
Madam Chair, number 8.3, approval of the Hood Canal Regional Septic Loan Program interlocal agreement between Clallam, Jefferson, Kitsap, Mason, and Kitsap Public Health. This agreement continues and expands the Hood Canal Regional Septic Loan Program to offer loan assistance to citizens of the participating jurisdictions to address failing or malfunctioning on-site sewage systems and to protect public health and water quality.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience who has any questions on any of the items just read?
Just a quick question. In item 8.3 in the consortium of governments that is ruling that, how come the health department's listed in there?
The agreement is with the health departments because they are the ones that are doing the assessment, first of all, that a septic system has a problem and potentially needs some repairs and whatnot. I don't know that there's a legal issue of it being with the health departments and not the commission.
You want me to go up there? Or?
Could you please?
Yes,
Thank you.
please. Yes.
Yeah.
Debbie Riley, Mason County Environmental Health Manager. It is with the 4 health departments, Clallam,
So
Jefferson,
it's not the
Kitsap, and
counties,
Mason,
it's the health department.
and Kitsap County, who is the fiduciary agent. Because the health district couldn't be the banker on this, so the county took on that responsibility. And Clallam County signed theirs earlier today.
Right.
So,
Does that answer your questions?
Yes, thank you.
Are there any other questions on items read? Is there anybody with commissioners? Any questions? Anybody like anything taken off for a separate vote? Commissioners?
Nope.
Hearing none, and entertaining a motion?
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of the action agenda as presented.
Madam Chair, I'll second the motion to approve those items.
It's been moved and seconded to approve items 8.1 through 8.3 on today's action agenda. Any discussion? All in favor here, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carried. Thank you. There are no public hearings tonight. Item number 10 is department heads and elected officials to present any other business. Is there any department heads that would like to present? Justin Smith from our previous year extension office.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good evening. It's been a little bit, and I wanted to let you know again that this weekend coming up is our 4-H Community Day. It's going to be at Memorial Hall. It's open to the public. Please come see what 4-H is all about and how you can get involved as in the community. It's a great opportunity. There'll be crafts, science, cooking, rabbits, community service opportunities, and it's free for kids K through 12, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Also, I'd like to say that the next Master Gardener training field day will be February 6th at Memorial Hall as well. It's $5. You can show up. It starts at 10 o'clock as well. The last one had 42 people show up.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so there's quite a bit of interest right now. I mean, while we're gearing up, right, it's time to start getting out there and getting in the garden. Even though it's still January, you can start getting things set up, learn some new skills, and get prepared for the upcoming year. And as just to give you an update, we should be knowing about our seaweed grants coming up here in the middle of February. The next one will be later in the year. We did, just to reiterate, we did get asked to submit a full proposal to NSF for a training program, and looks to be like we're going to be working with the Puget Sound Restoration Fund and their kelp program that they've got going on at the Manchester Research Lab in Port Orchard, and doing hopefully working with the stuff that we're going to be doing here. And I have a few other things I'll add later on, but then the next time that I'm here, I want to be able to give you an opportunity to give you all a briefing and update of all of the things that we've been up to here, but we'll let you move on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have another department head. Would you like to address the commission or the public? I don't see any elected officials. So we will move on now to our board reports and calendars. Commissioner Shelton, would you like to start?
Yes, I would. Thank you. I've got another meeting that's starting here, so I'll be very quick. I had a chance, of course, last week to be in our briefing sessions and briefings very quickly here yesterday. But I spent most of the time in Olympia. I did have a chance to visit with some students from Pioneer School, and that was very exciting. And I hope to be at the Sheriff's Breakfast coming up on Friday. So I think that's if anyone else is going to be there, I want to make sure that you know I would attend if I can on my legislative schedule. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, let's see. Last week after our meeting, we had a closed session. Then after that, I drove down the street and I met with Tom and Veterans and Homes First in regards to some incredible possibilities for our veterans, and hopefully this all pulls together well. And we had a MTA meeting, Mason Transit Authority meeting. I then had a business retention and recruitment meeting with the EDC, North Mason Chamber of Commerce board meeting, the Legislative Steering Committee reception for the Washington State Association of Counties, Temple Board meeting, Mount Moriah, Legislative Steering Committee for the Association of Counties, also all day in Olympia. I met with the folks from Beards Cove. It's a housing area up in North Mason, and it's the first time I ever attended one of the meetings. And there was literally over 50 people that showed up. I've never seen a housing association meeting so well attended. I was pretty amazed by that too. Let's see. Then get back to our briefings. I was guest speaker at the Patriots last night. Let's see. I met with Mary McClure and Associates in regards to Bremerton's transportation issues and the things that they're working on. I also had a West Sound Alliance steering committee meeting, and we had our Board of Health meeting as well. And I'm trying to get some of this other. Next week, North Mason School District in the morning, Granite Construction, who's a business that came to North Mason, brought in all those jobs and hired some of the locals there and gave them union wage jobs for They actually are one of the largest road construction companies in the region. Has asked if I would meet with them, so I will. North Mason Chamber of Commerce has for luncheon. Alliance of the Healthy South Sound, courthouse security, early learning, something, they have something scheduled for dealing with early learning. You may be going to that one as well. Hood Canal Lodge, Legislative Steering Committee Conference Call. Mason Transit has 2 different meetings on Sunday, which you're probably going to. Briefings, Port of Allen meeting, and Left Board.
Thank you. So following last week's meeting, closed session, attended League of Women Voters. Great discussion there regarding legal debt. Mason Transit meeting, met with the director of the housing students in transition, the HOST program, great program, and had the privilege of being in attendance to the meeting with Homes First and the veteran community regarding a housing opportunity for veterans. A criminal justice working team meeting, Mason Matters executive board meeting, transportation improvement board meeting, the planning meeting around a mental health court, meeting of the group working on a diversion house for mentally unstable and folks here in the community picked up by law enforcement and or presenting at the ER. And commissioner meetings, briefings yesterday, criminal justice treatment account meeting this afternoon about looking for some new opportunities to spend down some of that money. Had a phone call with Forterra, Board of Health meeting. Tomorrow I'll have a Memorial Hall Committee meeting with Judge Finley, the State Representative Drew McEwen, John Walsh from the Community Action Council on a proposal they have for the Mason County Commission. And there'll be a community meeting regarding a community center on the evening of Wednesday. Then we'll have a Mason Matters meeting, Early Learning Coalition. I will still also be in attendance. I am going to tour the I-502 cannabis production facility up in the Port of Shelton to get better understanding of the filtration more than anything. I might be calling in on the legislative steering committee call. Mason Transit annual meeting, and then a meeting, and then a lunch on Sunday. So that's the 2 meetings. And then back here for commissioner meetings, and then our first organizational meeting of the Behavioral Health Organization, which used to be the Regional Support Network, which is mental health and substance abuse services provided by both Mason County and Thurston County. And we're organizing and getting set up to be a new organization with expanded services with Thurston County. And then I am going to attend the air quality permit hearing of Sierra Pacific, which is Monday night. And we'll have a commission meeting on Tuesday.
You know, Madam Commissioner, I'm pretty sure when we read our calendars, we need to pick up a hobby somewhere.
I have a new floor in my house. I did that myself. Is there anything else to come before this board? I did want to encourage and want the commission to consider having a sit-down discussion with the Historical Society about this. We had had a discussion among ourselves and had, I think that the request will definitely need to come out that you folks need to come to us with a conceptualization and about where on the property, what it would look like, et cetera, so that we know how that may or may not impact future uses of that property. And then looks like there might be an opportunity.
I'd really like to look at that stuff as soon as possible on that before we get together, so I have a better understanding of what some of the possibilities are.
We'll be glad to put something together for you.
That would be great. And then I also want to just challenge this commission to maybe consider taking up the reauthorization of the mental health substance abuse treatment tax as early as May of this year. So maybe.
Let's get it on, get it done, get it over with.
Okay. So if there's any other business, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, I move we adjourn.
We are adjourned.
I'm gonna go see my daughter do her very first cheerleader thing, 5 years old.
Did I give you enough time?
You got me. She didn't think I was gonna